This is Back of the House from Cleveland Scene with me, Doug Trattner.
Brought to you by Bradley Stone Industries.
Hey, Stefan, if you don't mind, can you introduce yourself to people who might not know you at home?
I'm Stefan Was, proprietor of Porco Lounge and Tiki Room here in Tremont, Ohio City.
So you and I, was it 13, 14 years ago, sitting in this exact spot, were we not?
Yes, it was a little different. A little bit of sawdust on the floor, and the room was filled more with dreams at the time.
Did you have a very specific plan for what you wanted to do with this property?
I would say that it was more of a rough outline of it. I never dreamed that it would be what it is today.
But you wanted it to be tiki.
Yes, that was the driving force with our design, our concept, our menu, all of that, because it provided us something that was different. And having no experience in the industry, I knew that if I tried to compete with other sports bars, breweries, craft beer bars, my level of expertise wasn't in any of those. And my passion and my wife's passion was really into cocktails at the time. You have one of the best cocktail bars right up the street here in the Velvet Tango Room. At the time, under Paulius's ownership, it was inspiration.
Yeah?
Absolutely. It was something that we aspired to be.
And you mentioned Paulius over at the Velvet Tango Room, a place where many of us of our generation really learned to appreciate cocktails in general, right? I mean, at that time, cocktails everywhere were kind of going through a resurgence. Quality was getting better. They were looking back further for recipes, doing it with better ingredients. You kind of brought that same sentiment to tiki drinks, right? These are the same drinks that people grew up on, but they certainly didn't taste like the drinks that I grew up on. What made them better, and how did you guys do that?
Much like the craft cocktail movement that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s with Dale DeGroff. And one of the things that is often discounted is Paulius's contribution to the craft cocktail scene at large. You have to remember, back in 1997, there were no craft cocktail bars in New York or anywhere else for that matter. Cleveland was actually on the forefront of that with the Velvet Tango Room at the time.
Everyone was drinking martinis, right?
Exactly. And
gross ones, or marshmallow or whatever.
And Paulius was part of that tribe of Dale DeGroff, Audrey Sanders. We were seeing history happen here in Cleveland, and what makes tiki part of that is, one, these recipes date back to the same time. These cocktails are approaching 100 years old now. When you look at the technology and the access they had to the ingredients, it was pretty basic. The height of technology at the time was the Hamilton Beach electric blender. That was part of the thing that, brought these blended drinks in, and that tiki was able to latch onto and make something exotic to the consumer at that time. They went from mass-produced syrups, mixers, loaded them with sugar, and then by the time you're on your Carnival cruise in 1970, 80, you're drinking something that doesn't even resemble a Mai Tai, but it's loaded with sugar and pineapple and some rum.
What was it, the day you opened the door until how long do you realized, I think we've got a hit on our hands?
Well, with most restaurants and bars, when they open up, they're going to have the fanfare and the high of everybody wanting to try out the new guy. And we opened in October 5th of 2013. And much to that, the buzz that was built, that was great. That was a high feeling. We could do no wrong at that point, except for because these drinks were balanced and not necessarily what people expected from their vacations and what they had. They're very strong. They go back to the earlier days when they drank a little differently, but the quality was not compromised. So when we started educating the guests, and tiki was really starting to grab hold with its revival at this point, we were right time, right place. And this was right at the beginning of the holidays. So this was a great, new place. Holidays, everything went great, and then January 1st came. And
the typical the slump in
right.
hospitality.
And again, having no experience in that was very sobering, because it wasn't only January, it was February, and it was March, and it wasn't until we started to see the thaw and we were getting our patio ready, that people were looking for patio weather. And that's when we really hit our stride. And we knew not only did we quickly recover from that winter, but we had an onslaught of guests throughout that summer that it was like, okay, we're off to the races. Let's do this.
We'd be here all day if you went through all the awards and accolades that you've received in the 14 years since you've opened. But give us a highlight of some of the honors that you and your bar have brought to Cleveland because of the level of quality we have here.
We did set a world record for the world's largest daiquiri. That was one of those silly things that a couple of bartenders sitting around bored on a Sunday afternoon say, hey, you know, the world record is only 75 gallons. It wouldn't be that hard to do this. So we
got to find the right glass.
Right, and we chose to break that with 95 gallons. And then for us, those not familiar with the Tales of the Cocktail Award, that takes place in New Orleans. That is kind of like our James Beard Oscars, specifically for the cocktail and spirits industry. We've racked up quite a few years as a regional honoree for best bar team as well as best cocktail bar. But honestly, the best bar team is the one that means the most to me because it represents the entire staff's doing. It is because this place is the responsibility of all of them. This team here has been incredibly loyal throughout the years, and every year we do, get recognized for that. It is something that it extends onto our guests. When you say team, it is everybody included, front of the house, back of the house, the people sitting in the chairs, and the city at large.
So you've been open to your friends and family about your struggles with alcohol. Is that something you're comfortable discussing today?
Absolutely.
Was there a specific moment, a feeling? What was it in your personal life that you said, I think I want to work towards sobriety?
Oh, that was the problem. There was never sobriety itself was never a quest. It was a management of the drinking because it was a concept to me. Being sober was not in the cards for me because this is my life, this is my work, and I had no plans of ever getting out of this industry. And so the negotiation I made with myself for years was, I just need to get this under control. And it's possible because we sit here serving guests every single day that are completely responsible. All members of my family are completely responsible imbibers, some of them don't, but that was just the only way that I could see that I'd be able to exist in this community was if I was to get sober or to manage my drinking. That was probably the single biggest lie I ever told myself because every time I tried to scale back or dial it back, I would go back out with a vengeance. Anytime I quit for whatever small period of time I did, going back out was even worse. And it was definitely an identifiable problem professionally. Probably throughout the 2018, 2019 years, still showed up for work, still did the job, wasn't out committing crimes or doing things that, that I would be ultimately ashamed of from a legal standpoint, but personally, I was not present for staff and family. And once we got to 2020 and COVID, that was I guess people would say rock bottom, but for me, it was a long period of time that it was throughout COVID that I'm like, I really need some help. And it wasn't that these opportunities weren't available to me. It was, I was still wrestling with myself about, I can't live a life of no alcohol. I need to have it under control. And the only way for someone like myself to do that is to not have it be part of my life.
I mean, they call recovery a journey, right? It's not like that. have there been ups and downs for you in your journey since you decided to go be sober?
When the decision was finally made to stop, and I accepted in my life that alcohol would no longer be part of it for me personally, then that was the easiest part. It was actually like a huge weight lifted. It allowed me the ability to say, okay, well, now let's navigate this professionally. So I love what I do. I always have. And how can I have this balance? Part of the journey that I took to get sober was a service industry focused group that really had its growth spurt during COVID because their meetings went online, and I was able to get into those meetings. You've got to kind of find what works for you. I had attended AA meetings and it just wasn't the right fit. This support group, and it's very important to make the distinction between support group and programs. This was a support group that was founded by two gentlemen, Mickey Baxt and Steve Palmer, two very celebrated restaurateurs. They have 70 years of sobriety between the two of them, and their friend Ben had lost his life to suicide, and they took a look around and said, there is no support community for the people in the service industry. How do we fix this? And they started Ben's Friends, which was a community where they meet once a day. It's a roundtable discussion group over topics.
Virtually.
Virtually and in person. It started out as an in-person group, and then, like I said, during COVID, it just really kind of spread. And I was fortunate enough to get into one of those meetings and attend them. That, along with some inpatient recovery, was what really helped me on this journey to step back and say, okay, alcohol is no longer part of my life. And that group also continues to help me maintain.
Yeah.
And that's probably the other thing, is the physical stopping the drinking can be very dangerous for a lot of people, depending on where you were at. It was for me. And if I did not do it under medical guidance, I probably would have been dead. Thank God for the fine folks down at St. Vincent Charity. They got me through that. And when I came out and made the decision that alcohol was no longer going to be part of my life, then it was, where do I go from here? How do I take care of myself? And the Ben's Friends community was the perfect place for me.
So you're in hospitality, you're openly sober and going through recovery. What would you say to somebody who maybe was where you were in 2018, 2019, who's in this business, which you describe accurately as very difficult? What would you say to them, maybe on what to do next, what to do first?
Talk to somebody that's sober. And if that person is sober for similar reasons and they went through a program or a support group, they're going to do what I'm going to do, which is recommend you get to one of those. Go to a meeting. There's meetings for every manner of substance abuse on the planet every 5 minutes. To say that, well, I've got to wait for, no. I could be online right now and find you a meeting in 5 minutes, somewhere in the world that you could log into. You could be anonymous. You don't even have to be on the screen, and just sit through one of those. If it's speaking to you and telling you, answering some questions, the mere fact that you're asking me or someone else about a problem may indicate that you're curious and may need help. And there are so many people out there that are willing to help. I was approached by a good coworker, friend, that to start an in-person group here in Cleveland. And we now host Ben's Friends group here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So when someone comes and asks me, hey, I'm sober curious, I would say, meet us here at 6 o'clock and upstairs at Porco and see what we're all about, or direct them to an online meeting which occurs every single day at 1 p.m. And you can log onto those meetings, and you have people from all over the world, literally, chiming in and taking place in a discussion, which is exactly the same thing that we do upstairs every Wednesday.
And along those similar lines, is habits have changed considerably within your customers, right? Younger people going out are not drinking as much, if at all. Some of them not at all. We're hearing a lot about NA beverages. Of course, THC, cannabis, all those things being legal now. It comes into play. People going out less in general. How have those factors kind of affected your business?
We obviously dialed back our hours when we reopened from COVID. We figured it would be better to expand our hours as opposed to start where we left off and then have to dial things back. We close at 11:30 on Fridays and Saturdays as opposed to our 1:30 prior to COVID, and that has just been an enormous, we're able to go home at 12:30 in the morning.
You're willing to sacrifice some of the bottom line so that your employees have a better balance?
I wish I would say that was the reason, and to take credit for that, but honestly, it's the spending habits, and it's the general public they never did spend money beyond that point. When we had established those hours, we looked at what we were doing in the past and what was really necessary. We had a chance, the collective restaurant and bar industry, to say, this is what we're giving you. And if you want more, we'll give it to you. But this is what makes sense for us financially and physically to be able to run a healthy business. There's restaurants and businesses that are opening every day. And if they adhere to, we don't need to be everything for everybody, and we're very good at what we do, and this is our hours of working, and this is what we can afford to do, then chances are you may survive and see better days.
So the way we started this interview 14 years ago, you and I were sitting right here, right? Mm-hmm. None of this was here. You had just bought the building, and if you could talk to that Stefan 14 years ago when you were sitting there in this room from the future, what would you tell him?
Don't open a restaurant. The bar's okay.
I might have said the same thing to you that day.
Well, there's a difference. I can do cocktails very well, but operating a full-service restaurant is a whole nother animal. And to say take it easy, don't drink so much, be sober. I'm very grateful for my journey to sobriety, because it has meant so much to me in terms of what I'm able to provide for people, and as well as it wouldn't have been possible without the support of my family, faith, friends, all of that. So I'm eternally in debt to all of them for, one, keeping me alive, and two, allowing me to continue in this industry. But that journey was so valuable to, it's a life lesson that I wouldn't wish upon anyone to know, but it's something that continues my drive and wants to see this thing through.
Well, Stefan, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Your honesty.
It's always a pleasure.
And for the spotlight that you brought on Cleveland for the quality that you're putting out here.
Thank you very much.